Well, hello there, stamping friends. I am Lisa Bauer from Stampin' Created by You, and I'm glad that you're joining us today. We have a fabulous show put together for you all. Members of my team got together and wanted to share a little bit of holiday spirit with everyone. So you can sit back and relax and check out some of the great projects that we have to share with you to help you get ready for this holiday season. And along the way, you'll pick up a few tips and tricks. So get your comfy clothes on, sit back and relax, and we're ready to get started.
Hi, it's Cheryl with Orange Peony Paper Crafts. Today I'm going to show you a really pretty card made with the In the Pines bundle. It's easier than it looks, and I'm going to show you how I did it right now. You're going to start out with, of course, the In the Pines bundle. It's on page 48 of the August to December mini catalog. You might think, hey, that's a Christmas stamp, but I promise you that once you have it and you start working with it, you'll find that it's great for masculine cards, for thinking of you cards, or even for sympathy cards. You're going to need, oh, and I've done some of the cutting ahead of time for you so that you don't have to be here till tomorrow watching how I made this card. You're going to start out with an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of very vanilla cardstock scored at 4 1/4. The first layer is going to be Mossy Meadow at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then the second layer is going to be, again, very vanilla. And this one is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. I love a really narrow border. If you're not as comfortable with that, you don't like working with those 1/8 of an inch measurements, you can definitely do, your card base would still be the same, 5.5 by 4 1/4, but then you could do 5 1/4 by 4 for your Mossy Meadow layer, and 3 3/4 by 5 for your very vanilla layer. It's just going to give you a wider border around the outside edge. You're also going to need some black glimmer paper, just a small piece. You're going to need some of the beautiful brushed copper paper and some scraps of very vanilla that we'll use in a few minutes. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do some stamping on this top layer. I'm going to grab my Stampin' Pierce mat, and I'm also going to need a little bit of something to stamp off on. Just 1 second. You're going to take the medium-sized tree image out of the set. That's going to be this one. This is the large tree, this is the medium tree, and then these are the small tree and the multi-tree. And we're going to, first we just want to make kind of a subtle background. We're going to do that with Early Espresso and the medium tree. And I want it to be really subtle. So I'm going to ink up my Early Espresso and I'm going to stamp it off, and then I'm going to stamp on my paper. Same thing each time, off. And these don't have to be perfect. You think, oh, I don't know, did you get a good image on that? It's going to be okay, because this isn't really going to be our final look. This is going to be underneath. So it's just creating a subtle backdrop. And you're going to kind of make a little V with your trees. Just like that. Whoops, and that one did not come out good at all because I was off the edge, so let's just do it again. There we go. That's just fine. All right, and then I want to switch over, and I'm going to repeat that exact same process only I'm going to use the filling stamp, the one that adds the color to it, in Mossy Meadow. I'll tell you something that I learned the hard way. Use the right size block. Do not use a giant block for a little stamp, because if you do, that's when you're going to get ink on the edges that's going to come on your paper when you really don't want it. And see, I'm just adding Stampin' Off and then a little bit of color. So you can tell that they're trees, but they're really not going to be the focal point of the card. There. And I'm going to just grab my chamois and clean that off, because we're going to use that stamp again in a minute. So I want to get it cleaned off a little bit. Now, here's the magic part. I'm going to take this card that I stamped on, and I'm going to run it through the cut and emboss machine, and I'm going to emboss the design of the trees using the Evergreen Forest embossing mat folder. Now I'll tell you something that I always mess up on, which is going to create the raised side and which is going to create the dented in impression. I get this wrong a lot. So I'm kind of feeling this, and this is the part that's pressing. So this is the part that's going to be receiving the image. So I know that I want to put my paper down on this side, and I want to kind of line it up so that those trees, some of those trees on the folder, are lined up with the trees that I just stamped. Then I take my number 1 plate, put my folder in with the folded edge first, my number 4 plate, and then I just crank it through. And it comes out the other side completely beautiful. Wait and see. Oops. And it's stuck down in there. Okay, so there you go. Now we have the background that we're going to put our raised images on. So at this point, we can go ahead and adhere this layer to the green, except I forgot my liquid glue. Give me 1 second. Okay, I love liquid glue. It is my absolute favorite. I used to be so frustrated because I was using other kinds of adhesive, and it would be stuck down, and what do you know, it's not even. I don't like how my borders look, and there's nothing I could do about it. With the liquid glue, it's forgiving. You've got a little time, if you didn't have that border quite straight, to move it back and forth. Okay, and our next step is we're going to use the Stamparatus. I'm going to show you something quick that's going to make all of the images that we're going to cut out in a minute in one pass. So we get all of our trees where we want them, the base image, the back. Got that lined up. Now we take over top of that and we take the fill image with our plate going the other direction, and we just touch it down. Whoop. Well, that's what we had hoped would happen. We don't want it to be stuck too tight because we want it to pick up on here. There we go. Okay, so let's say you decided that you loved this card and you wanted to make a dozen of them. This will make it go so quickly. You're going to ink up the base with your early espresso. Bring it over, give it a press, lift it up, and that's done. Now you're going to do the exact same thing with your Mossy Meadow ink on the other plate, because you've hooked it up here at the top. Going to ink those up nice. And if you have Stampin' Spots, those are fabulous for inking when you're using the Stamparatus, because you're not trying to handle this big stamp pad and get it only where you want it to go. But you can see that pretty much everything is the way we want it to be, except, oh wait, I didn't quite get this image up on the top tree with as much color as I want. So, because we're using the Stamparatus, put it back down, give it another press, and now my tree is completely covered. And we're going to take this off, put the Stamparatus over to the side, and I'm going to get the Big Shot back again for a second. Now for this, we aren't going to use the number 4 plate because that's our embossing plate. We need to make a sandwich. The number 1 plate, the number 2 plate, which is the thin die adapter, and then 2 of the number 3 plates. That's a big lie. I don't want to do that. I really want to use my magnetic plate. So there's the number 5 magnetic plate. I'm going to put my card on the magnetic plate. I'm going to lay the dies over, and they're going to stay where I put them because it's the magnetic plate. And again, if you're making a number of cards, you're going to run this through one time. You've got everything cut in a single step. And we're going to use one number 3 plate because we used that magnetic plate. And get everything lined up and crank it through. And take the dies away and put them someplace where you'll remember where they are, because I lose mine on a regular basis. I think I'm going to leave them stuck right on the magnetic plate for now. So now we've got our group of 3 trees, our big tree, and our small tree. So we are in the final phase. I know, you're very excited. We also made off camera a copper tree and a black glimmer tree. Now, here's what you're going to love about this glimmer paper. The glitter doesn't come off. It's great. And it's not, I don't think, it actually was in the Halloween part of the catalog this year, but I really don't think that it's just a Halloween paper. I think that you can use it for a lot of other things. We're going to take just a little bit of liquid glue for some of the trees, and then we're going to use dimensionals for others. We're going to use a little bit of liquid glue for the medium tree that goes over here on the right hand side of the card. And I'm kind of putting that over top of one of my images. I really kind of wanted to be there. I want that other tree to stand out in the background, and I just need another little drop down here on the bottom because I want that to stay put. And then on the copper tree, I'm going to use some dimensionals, but it's going to go down kind of last. I'm going to first do this other black tree, and here you're going to see I'm only putting glue randomly down the tree and on the trunk. I don't want to get it so that it comes out all over the place. So I'm going to put that kind of about an inch in, and I want it to be about level with the first tree that I put on there. Then I'm going to take my little single tree and put that on with glue because it gets to be flat also. It's just going to go down here. And think about lining up the bottoms of these trees equally because we're going to be putting a little bit of a base on there so that we don't have trees that are just floating in the air. Then I'm going to put a dimensional on the back of the copper tree, a couple of those, because I want it to be raised up a little bit. And that's going to go here so that it's just a little bit in front of both the little tree and the medium tree. And then also the little group of 3 trees are going on dimensionals. They're going to be over here at the base of the black glimmer tree. But before we actually stick them down, I'm going to show you how we made this border here. I took a piece of Very Vanilla and I just randomly tore it. And I made it longer, way longer than I need for this card because I wanted to get a section that I liked the look of. So I think, how do I want that to be? Do I want it to be, I think I want it to be more like this. I want it to be a little bit lower. Then I'm going to take a sponge dauber that'll go on my finger and my early espresso ink. I don't want a ton. I'm going to dab in here and then I'm going to see how much do I have. Ooh, not a lot. Not too much. So then I'm just going to take my ink and I'm going to go along the top, the torn, with the kind of like the torn edge up. And I just want to give some color to that. Not a lot. Not like there's been a lot of traffic where this snow was and it's gotten all brown, but you know, just so that it makes a shadow at the top. And I don't need the whole piece again, so I'm going to take it and see where it fits and set that ink over to the side before I put my arm in it. And then I'm just going to snip off this end and go back to our liquid glue. Put a line of that on there. Usually I get too carried away with the glue and you'll find that some of it's going to squeeze out where I didn't want it, but this time that worked pretty well. Now I can go ahead and take the dimensional backings off on my little trees and I can place them here in front of the black glitter tree. And you say, oh, wait a minute, didn't you say no trees were going to be floating in this card? And they're not. I'm going to take a piece of the copper metallic ribbon long enough to go across the front of the card and I'm going to fasten that on. Guess where that glue is? On my fingers, which are now stuck to the card where I don't want them to be. And you're going to have a little playtime, you know, to get this where you want it, because that's the whole reason that we like the liquid glue, right? Except just don't stick your fingers in it. There. That's what you have this extra scrap of paper over here for. let's think about having our card base here so we can work against that. So now what I want to do is get my piece down here, and I want it to stick down a little bit. I want it to stop wiggling all over the place. So I'm going to grab a glue dot. I'm going to roll it up a little bit between my fingers, and I'm going to stick it in the middle of the card so that I can kind of adhere that ribbon down so that it's over the base of my trees and going across at the level I want. So you see a little bit of this, the Fairy Vanilla, and then you're kind of just putting a finishing edge on the back. Now I'm there we go, totally frustrated with the way these are going. I'm going to glue this onto the base, and then we won't have to worry about it anymore. Liquid glue there. And I can see that my fingers are all a mess from glue. Let's line up our edges. Press it down. There, you can see that they're starting to look kind of similar. And now for the last part, we're going to stamp the sentiment. We've got another little scrap of Very Vanilla. Going to bring back in my Stampin' Pierce mat. So I've got a little something to press against. The Early Espresso ink. And this one isn't necessarily a Christmas card. We're doing Thinking of You. And we're just going to stamp that on there, hopefully straight. Well, we're close to straight. Let's try it again on this end and see if we can do better. Yep, I like that better. All right, and I'm just making this squared off on the ends. If you wanted to use the take your pick punch, you could, but I just want it to be fairly simple, straightforward card. I'm going to use dimensionals to lift the sentiment up away from that background, because I want that to be a focal point of the card that you can see, like as if the trees are fading off. First they're dark, and then they're getting lighter and fading into the distance, and then I'm going to put my sentiment kind of in the center, and voila, there's the card. Now I do have 4 other designs made with this same set. If you purchase the In the Pines bundle, you'll get everything you need to make this card and the other 4 cards, 2 of each one, for free. If you already have the In the Pines bundle, because it's great, you can buy just the PDF tutorial and the cutout pieces to make the other 8 cards, and then 2 of the card that I demonstrated today. Thanks for watching. Okay, now that you've seen the demonstration, here's the card we made. Then here's one using the First Frost Designer Series paper as a background for the cut out images. Here's one using the Ornate Frames dies with perfectly plaid paper. Here's a really adorable double easel fold card with a place for your sentiment on the inside, and then really popular right now, a slimline card. Love this. And I am not happy with just using a business size envelope, because you're going to have it's going to be sloppy inside. So I've also created, to go with this one, a matching envelope that is the size that the card will fit in nicely. And again, if you're interested in either the bundle or just the PDF tutorial, I'm at orangepeonypapercrafts.stampinup.net. Thanks for watching my video. I'll see you again soon.
Hello again, Lisa Bauer from Stampin' Created by You. and today I have a useful tip for you on how to clean your stamp blocks. Sometimes you get some of that stays on or memento ink, or one of my favorites is cherry cobbler. It seems like, or real red. Seems like every time I use those colors, they're not only on my blocks, but they're all over my hands. So today I want to show you how you can clean those blocks. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera down and we'll get started. All right, so this block isn't too bad. There's a little bit of grunge in the corner, and you can clean these blocks a couple different ways. One way that I like is with the Stays On Cleaner, and all you do is just put it out in the corners where you get the goop, rub it around real good. Get a lot on there. And then I'm just going to take a Kleenex. And sometimes you have to work. This block, I will tell you, has been dirty for a while, and I should have cleaned it a long time ago. You want to try to get to these before they dry. Another useful tool on how to clean the blocks, which I can't really bring down here to our camera room, but it's using Dawn dish soap. That usually works very well also. And one of my favorites, look at that. This is 100% better than what it was. I need to do it to the other side, but look at the difference in this block just from using the Stays On Cleaner. And you can just wipe it dry with your tissue. I need to do the other side real quick so you can see right through it. So I'm going to show you another tip later using these same blocks. So clean it up real good. Look at that, it looks brand new. And that's just using Stays On. Now, if you don't have the Stays On Cleaner, here's another one of my messy blocks. This, of course, is using one of our red inks. I'm pretty sure it's real red. I had, especially now with COVID, one of the best ways to clean your blocks is with good old hand sanitizer. And this is one of my favorite Naked Bee ones. Love the smell of it. It smells like sweet tarts. So I just put a little bit of that on there. And watch this. And I probably put a little bit too much, but we'll have enough to do the other side. And that ink's been on there for 3 or 4 days. That's one thing I'm not real good about. I don't know about you guys, but I love to craft. I love to make messes. But lo and behold, I'm not a big fan of cleaning up stuff. So I like to leave it all out. I seem to know where it's all at, which is ironic. And look at this block. I have a little bit of glue, a little bit of adhesive on there. How that got on there, I don't know. But this block now looks like brand new, just from using hand sanitizer. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tip on how to clean your clear blocks from Stampin' Up.
Hi, I'm Jill Spaulding with Stamping Nest. Today I'm going to demonstrate one card that I made with this brand new bundle from Stampin' Up, Snowflake Wishes. It's really a nice bundle. You get with it, you get there are 2 packages of the polymer stamps with some wonderful snowflakes and a bunch of great sayings. And the best part, these snowflake cut-up dies that you can cut out and make beautiful snowflakes, millions and millions of different combinations. And this comes with it also, and this is a cutout. And I will show you, I'm using it on the card that I'm going to demonstrate for you. Now we're going to turn the camera down and show you how to put this card together. And I have just your standard 5.5 by 4.25 piece of pool party cardstock. And I already cut it out, and I already have it all set to be just put together here. So there's the card, and this is some of the Snowflake Splendor cardstock. And it has 2 sides. It has this side. So hard to decide which side you want to use because they're both sides are pretty. But for this card, I wanted it to be a little more monochromatic, however you say it, all one color. And we're going to put it together using the liquid glue. Which you don't really need a whole lot. I love this glue because you can get up and get them on the little snowflakes ends so they kind of stick down so you don't rip them when you put them in an envelope. And we're just going to center this on here like this. Call that good. Then I have snowflakes that I used, the snowflake dies. I used 4 of these dies, 4 different sizes, and cut out these 4 different snowflakes, 2 of the white and 2 of the pool party. And I'm just going to use a drop of glue and I'm going to layer these together. Yeah, sure. I'm going to stick them to my finger, and then I'm going to stick them to each other. Yeah, one more dot. So there, we've made a layered snowflake. And I'm just going to put a dimensional on this so it stands up a little bit. Using a dimensional, we're going to stand it up. So there's the snowflake. Now we're going to put the sentiment in the center here. We're going to use the pool party ink. And I'm going to use the sentiment from this set that says, thank you so much. Little play on words there. I'm just going to stamp it right in the center here. And now it can't be a card if it doesn't have any bling on it. Not from my house. So I'm going to use use our picker tool, and I'm going to use these lovely rhinestones, and I'm going to put one in the center of each one of these snowflakes. I love how this thing works, so I don't have to try to get them off my fingers when they're stuck to my fingers. I don't have to try to peel them off the cardboard. This does all the work for you. So there's our thank you so much card. Now I made 3 other cards using this same set that I'll show you the finished product. I'm not going to demonstrate how to make them. But this one, the one that says our friendship is one of a kind, is also a gift card holder. So you could put a gift card holder in there, you could put cash in there, nice piece of white to stamp your sentiment on. This one is just another nice, using the paper, using the stamps, using the cutouts, and some of the wonderful mesh ribbon. I love this sparkly mesh ribbon. You can do so many different things with it. I used it on this card for the bow also. And then this card is just a different cutout using the Snowflake Wishes, only using the Highland Heather. So see, I made 4 cards from this set with totally different colors. And you can purchase a kit, or you can have everything in the kit. You can make 2 of each card, so you get 8 cards, and everything will be in there, the ribbon, the embellishments, everything except the sentiments. And you're going to have to purchase the stamp kit, the Snowflake Wishes stamp kit, to stamp them with the same, or you can buy the bundle and then you can make more and more and more, like I will. I never run out of cards for snowflakes. So there's an easy, pretty set of cards using the Snowflake Wishes from Stampin' Up. Thanks for spending time with us today. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Peggy Sue from Peggy Sue's Stampin' Shack, and we're going to be making a beautiful Christmas card today called Christmas Gleaming. We are using the Christmas Gleaming stamp set from the mini catalog on page 19, along with the Brightly Gleaming DSP on page 19 as well. And we're going to have some copper foil paper from the annual catalog. So it's a very simple card, but it looks very well. We'll be starting to show you how to make the card right now. Alright, so we're going to start with 11 by 4.5 cardstock, and it's pretty. What I did was I already have all this stuff cut for you, and I actually have it scored at 5.5 right there and at 8.25. So we're going to fold that like a little accordion, just like this. And then we're going to use our bone folder to make a nice pressed crease on these. And then I'm going to show you the next step is going to be, I'm going to do the back. Use very vanilla. I already have these cut for you. I have some ornaments here from the Brightly Gleaming DSP, and I used 2 different papers here. And so one is going to be the large stamp, or the large punch. And these are what the punches look like. There's 2 different ones, and they come in a pack. Along with that, look on the same page, page 19, in the mini catalog. So I'm going to glue these on, and you're going to want to keep these kind of close. I'll show you on this piece of paper here. When we go to close this, we need to have both the ornaments far enough. We're going to leave a little border around, right like that. So we need to have these ornaments over to the side far enough so that both ornaments will be shown, about like that. So I'm going to get some glue. I'm going to use the Tombow liquid glue here. I'm going to glue the back of these. I'll put a little bit of glue on this, and then I will stick this on. And I want to leave this one kind of close. Make sure that it's nice and straight. And you can just push that down. And then I'm going to glue this one on as well. I'm going to put the Tombow glue on the back of this one. And before I set that one down, I am going to bring this back across again, and I'm just going to make sure that those ornaments are both going to be showing there. And you can make it nice and straight. So that's how I put the ornaments right on there. And it makes it really super simple. And then the next step, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to put the Tombow, I'm going to move that card right now. I'm going to put this Tombow glue right on the top of the ornament. So I already cut the top of the ornament for you to, and I used the punch, and all I did is use the copper foil paper. And it might be easy to just stick it on with the tweezers and just set it right down on it. Sometimes my fingers, so I end up making it fall. So tweezers work really good. So you just press that right on there, and I'll pick this one up and stick that one on here. And with the Tombow glue, you can at least move it around a little bit to make sure that it is just exactly right on there. And just press that right down. And then I also, with the foil paper, cut a very, very, very tiny strip. And when I was trying to do this and I'm putting glue on the back, I was having a difficult time because I was putting too much glue. So what I ended up doing to make it a little easier is I just take the tiniest bit of glue and I just squeeze a little tiny, tiny bit out, straight up on there. And it doesn't take much. And I'm going to grab my scissors, and I put the glue, I put the strip right on where the glue is, and press it down lightly, just so you don't have a lot of glue sticking out. And then you just take your snips, snip it right off, so you got a nice flush spot. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other little one here. And it just works really, really well. I just found it a lot better just to put a very small amount of glue right on my very vanilla paper. Just snip that right off. Now look how simple that was. It's a very simple card. And I'm going to just set that aside for the moment. And then I'm going to take the 2 pieces. This was from the Stitched So Sweetly dies in the annual catalog on page 179. This is what the set looks like. And there's a whole bunch of different sets of dies in here. Let me show you these. There's such a collection. I use this so much. Look at all the dies that are in there. And then I used this one and this one for this card. Works. I love this set. So I can show. That's where I cut these from. They got a stitched edge, and they are just wonderful. And then I'm going to take my Pretty Peacock stamp pad, and I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to use two of the stamps from the Christmas Gleaming stamp set. And I'm going to use one of them vertical and one horizontal. So the outside of the card is going to have the vertical one. So I'm using Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly. It's a beautiful. I love this one. And I'm not used to sitting down and stamping, so I'm going to have a hard time here, but I'll do it. Get this in here just nice and straight down. And then press it down, and beautiful. I did that great. All right, and the inside of the card I had Be Jolly this season. So that one, I'll get right in the center as well, and right down. There we go, we have two perfect little ones. And then on the last card, my sample card here, I actually stamped the outer edge of the inside, and I did it in an afterthought. I already had the front on. So I'm going to do both of them on this card for you to see. All I do is take my stamp pad and take your sponge and just go around the very edge. It just gives it a little accent and makes it really kind of pop off. Kind of, you see more of a dimension there. So I'm going to do both of these right away before I get going. And it's very simple. It's just really makes like a lot of difference sometimes on the card. It's just how it makes it pop. And you take a little extra time on your card, and people go like, "Wow, that is really beautiful." So I'm going to bring this back around over here, and I'll finish the center one up. Actually, I'll glue that down first, because then I can press on it a little better. So I'm going to put the Tombow glue on the back of the inside. And we're going to set that right on. And I leave a nice little edge all the way around. And you can press that right down on there. And I'm going to put the inside on, and I'm going to use dimensionals, so it pops right up out of there, and it'll look so beautiful. So on this, I use the 4 dimensionals, of the larger dimensionals. I put one on each side. And I don't know if you're familiar with popping the backs off, but if you put your fingernail on it and pinch it just a little bit, it'll just pop that back right up, so you can grab it a little easier. So I know I have a lot of ladies in my card club that have a very difficult time with these, just because I get those papers off. But this is a really easy way of popping that right up, so it's a much easier to grab them. So when I leave enough space for the person to write their name at the top, write who they're sending it to, and then they can have enough space, and you're going to want to make sure you're pretty close to the edge there, because you need to have that covered completely too. So it looks good, and you just press that right down, and see if you put that shut, then you don't see any of that sentiment inside. So now we'll work on the front, and the DSP that I had picked for that is it's a stripe paper right here. Alright, and I have that cut at 2.5 by 4. Alright, so I'm going to put that on. And we covering up this really beautiful paper. I love this paper. It's got 2 sides that are just gorgeous. It's hard to take that shiny stuff and put glue on it. Sometimes you got too much sparkle, I think, so we got to have a little bit of tone going here. So I'm going to set that right on, right, so it's all got a border around it. Press that right down, so it is stuck on. And then I'm going to put I'm going to actually put my sprigs. There is a punch that's in the annual catalog on page 166. And I like adding just a little bit of extra embellishments and dimension on my cards. So we're gonna do this really nice punch, and it's so simple to use, and you can do a lot of different stuff with it. So I'm gonna just put them on the top. I'm gonna put them at the top left corner and the bottom right corner, and I'm gonna just put a little bit of glue on the bottom of them just to hold them down. And I'm gonna set them just so they go to the top corner. Hard too much, so it fits in your envelope fine. So I'm going to put 2 on each corner, just to give it a little more look popping out there. It seems like a lot when you're setting them down, but once you got the other stuff on the top, they just come out a little bit. I got to move them down just a little bit. And then I'll put some at the bottom. One more. We did one last time. All right, so we're gonna take the copper foil one from the Stitched So Sweetly set, and we're gonna put dimensionals on both of these. I'm gonna put small dimensionals on the top because they're a little bit thinner. I don't want it to pop up too awfully much. I want it to pop, but not too much. So I'm gonna use the small ones on the back of just where the center is. So I will put a few more of those on though. I'll do 2 on the sides. I guess I can do just one over there. Alright, I'll put one more there. Alright, I'm going to push those on, and then I can peel the backs off of those. And you can kind of do the same thing with those, just kind of press them and they pop up. That paper will pop up a little bit there. There, they're all off. And then I'm going to put it right on the top of this foil piece so it's nice and centered. Oops, it's sticking too much. There. And then I'm going to put the larger dimensionals on the bottom of the piece here. Push that. I'll take backs off of these. Alright, and then I'm going to put that right over the top here. So I'm going to center that. Move it over just a little bit more. There. And you can press that right down. And look at how simple and beautiful that card is. That is, I just love it. And you can, I actually on my other one I only did do 1 sprig, so you could do 1 sprig or 2. You can see the difference. I don't know which one you'd like a little better, but they kind of just make a little extra pop to it, and it just opens up, and it's just a beautiful. I love the foil paper. It just makes it look so elegant. So I wanted to let you know that if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me at Peggy Sue Stampin' Shack at stampinup.net. So I hope you enjoyed this video of me making this beautiful Christmas gleaming stamp card. Thank you.
Hey everybody, it's Cheryl again, Orange Peony Paper Crafts. Got a fun tip for you today. How many times have you vacuumed and then you look down and there's a little backing off a dimensional that's hiding on the floor, or it's stuck to your dog or your cat? Well, If you use the pointy end of the Take Your Pick tool to remove the backing from your dimensionals, they stay on the tip. Just flick the backing off of each one, and yay, they're all right here, and you can drop them right, whoops, into your trash bag. That one flew right away. But you can put them right in your trash bag instead of having them all over the floor, which is where they are at my house. I hope you get a chance to use that, and it helps. Thanks.
Hello everybody, Lisa Bauer. I know you've watched some excellent tutorials today from the members of my team, and I just wanted to let you know it's not over yet, but we could only get so much video packed into this first segment, so hang tight, and we're going to post the second segment where you can get more tips and tricks and great stamping techniques and all the projects that we have to come you're not going to want to miss out on. See you soon!